back to Make Monday Matter. Hope y'all had a incredible weekend full of memories, fun with your family, time with the Lord. Hope you feel refreshed and ready to go to be launched into a day full of power, purpose, and provision. Remember, today is not just another day. Today is not the worst day of your week. It is if you want it to be. But I choose that Monday is going to be a launching pad into all that God has for me this week. And with that in mind, we want to talk about this idea of process and the role that expectancy plays in the process. Everybody say expectancy. We're going to talk about how you're being launched on this Monday morning into a week full of power, purpose, and provision. Okay? That's a process. What happened possibly for you yesterday, if you attended some kind of worship gathering, is you experienced a moment with the Lord. It could have been an hour long, it could have been an hour and a half, 2 hours, it could have been an all-day event for you, but you experienced a moment with the Lord. And what I want to encourage you with this Monday morning is that not to live for the moment, but to embrace the process, because moments are momentary. And if we live for the moment, we'll have momentary power, momentary joy, momentary peace, and momentary love. I don't know about you, but for a lot of my life, I live for the moment. The moment I would graduate, the moment I would get married, the moment I would start my first ministry, the moment I would have kids. And before you know it, when we live for the moment, we start to wish our life away. I can't wait until... And then that moment happens, and it could have been a great moment, but it's just here and it's gone, and then all of a sudden, we're just looking forward to the next moment. I want to let you know that moments comprise about 5% of your life. So if we live for the moment, we'll really only have purpose for 5% of our life, which will be just another day, same old stuff. It'll just be the same old. It'll just be, I'm just getting through. I know that God created you for more than just getting through. I know God created you for more than just same old stuff, just another day. But when we have a different perspective on life, that it's not just for the moments, but it's for the process that prepares me for my moments, we now have a significant amount of purpose every single day. It's not just that I got through and I dealt with what life handed me today and I made the best of it, and I tried for the devil not to steal my joy. And it's more than just the day. It's about how this day is contributing to the process of God preparing you and producing something in you that He could only do in the process. In the process. It's in the middle. We find God in the middle. We find God in the waiting rooms of life. We find God in the valley. We find God in the fire. We find God in the normal everyday of life. And certainly we can find Him in the moments. And certainly we can find Him on the mountaintops. And certainly we can enjoy His presence there. But there's more. And this morning I want to share a little bit about my story and the role that expectancy played in the process. At 18 years old, things started to shift in my world. I was playing golf at a Division I level up at the one and only, thank you Lord Jesus. Everybody say LU. Shout out to Humble Tip, the one and only Jay Lewis. But anyways, went to Liberty University and had a fantastic experience there. But I was there to make a name for myself with golf. And that was very short-lived. Thank you, Jesus. Because I didn't need to spend any more of my time doing something that I wasn't created for. Now, I still enjoy the game of golf quite a bit. But competitive golf had captured my heart, my affection, and my attention, what we talked about last week on Make Monday Matter. And it was what I worshiped and the thing that I bowed down to on a daily basis. And God radically changed my life when I gave up what had my heart. And it was just a few months later that He started to give me a heart for people. As I started to, I said that association leads to imitation. the more I associated with Jesus, the more I wanted to imitate him. Actually, definitely the more I wanted to, but the more I started to. It just kind of happened. The more I started to love what he loves and hate what he hates, and my desire started to change just by associating with him. And that was a beautiful process. And so I started to have a desire for people and love people and genuinely care for people, because that's what his heart burns for. It longs for relationship with people. And not only was it just the people around me, but it was the people around the world. I started to have a global focus, and he started to give me a focus for people that needed hope, help, and healing and had little to no access to it. We call those unreached areas of the world. And I became very passionate about this. And the only problem was I didn't know how that was going to happen, how I was going to get there. How do I sign up? How does one go about offering hope, help, and healing to the hardest to get to places on earth? And so what God did in me, he said, do what you can with what you've got, with everything you've got. This was at 18 years old. And I'm like, okay. So I started a process of God preparing me for the moment that I would go for the very first time to unreached areas, and producing in me his character. The process is all about him preparing you for your moment and producing something in you that will sustain you when you get to that moment. We talked a few months ago about David and Saul and the difference there, that Saul didn't have a dark room. He didn't have a process that prepared him to be king, and so his leadership couldn't keep him where his character couldn't keep him where his leadership brought him. He was a great leader. He was well liked. He was a stud, rocking some serious stud status. But his character couldn't keep him where his leadership brought him. But David had a darkroom of 20 years to prepare him to become the man after God's own heart. And as a result, he became one of the greatest kings in Israel's history. And so what I want to remind you of this morning in my story is that I just did what I could with what I had, with everything I had, and started with a guy named Brandon Halmschultz. Brandon was a basketball player his freshman year. I was a sophomore and got to be a part of his life after he blew out his knee, and he was devastated. He was, kind of in a similar situation I was the year before, where I was no longer playing golf. He's no longer potentially going to be playing basketball, and I was just a part of his world and part of his journey of helping him through that. As a result, we became really close and ended up meeting his dad, moved down to South Florida right after college to join his dad and offering hope, help, and healing in South Florida. And I ended up coming up here to North Carolina about 7 years ago. And another piece of the puzzle, to love people back to life here and to see people fall madly in love with Jesus. And it was a beautiful thing. But another part of the process, but still not doing what I felt God calling me to do. And it wasn't until I'd been up here a couple years that Brandon's dad had had a meeting with an organization who does what I was looking to do, and they asked him to come on board and oversee everything that they do in Asia. And as a result, I came on board, and about 10 years after I had said yes to Jesus, after about 10 years of God developing a heart in me globally, I got to go for the very first time to unreached peoples of the earth and help them get through what they're going through and help them know that there is more to life than what they're currently experiencing. It was a beautiful experience, and now it's what's driving my life, what my life is really all about. But it was a 10-year process, a 10-year process of preparation, a 10-year process of God producing his character in me. And I'm still in process, and I always will be in process, because God's always wanting to prepare me for my next moment, for my next adventure, for my next journey. And that next journey starts Thursday as we head overseas to experience all that God wants to there. And we're fired up, jacked up, and pumped up for that. But I want to encourage you that expectancy played a massive role in the journey. Expectancy played a massive role in the process. I want to make a statement this morning, and that statement I think is paramount to you really embracing the process, and that is this. Expectancy is the breeding ground for miracles. Expectancy is the breeding ground for miracles. The enemy can steal your expectancy. He can steal your hope. I love this idea of expectant mothers. When you see a mother that is carrying a baby around, their next child or their first child around, I don't know if you've noticed this or not. I'm sure you have, but there's this glow about them. This motherly glow, this pregnant glow. And ladies, if you've born any children, you certainly know what I'm talking about. You've probably had comments made several times that there's just this glow about you. This excitement, this expectancy that in just a few short months, you'll be holding a child that you produced in your arms. But it didn't happen overnight. You didn't conceive the child and birth the child the next day. There was a 9 to 10 month process of preparation and production. And thank goodness for those 9 to 10 months, because some of you know the agony of having a premature baby. Of a baby who didn't go full term, who maybe went half term, and the agony of being in NICUs and visiting the hospital day in and day out, or living at the hospital day in and day out, hoping that your baby's lungs or whatever it was that needed to be developed would be developed outside of the womb. You see, there's a great benefit to embracing the process. Every mother knows the benefit of the process. And I want to encourage you today that the enemy wants to steal your glow. I've also noticed mothers at the end of the process who the glow is turned a little bit more into gloom. Not that they're upset that they're having a baby or they don't want the baby anymore. It's just that it's become arduous, difficult. That little seed has now turned into a watermelon. That seed is not so small anymore, and you're carrying around a lot more weight and a lot more pressure, and the everyday stuff of life has become a little bit more challenging. And so the glow has turned into gloom, and what I want to encourage you is don't let the enemy steal your glow today. Don't let him steal your glow this week. You're being launched this Monday morning into a week of process, a week of God preparing you and producing something in you. Don't live for the moment. Don't live for the same old stuff, the same old day. Live for the process of what is God going to do in your life this week. It happens in the process. And I want to encourage you that the enemy doesn't have to steal your glow. The enemy doesn't have to steal your joy, because you can expect God to do the miraculous in your life as you ask Him to fulfill every promise that He's made to you. Today, I know that you're going to make Monday matter, because you're not going to let the enemy steal your glow. Thanks so much for joining us today on Make Monday Matter. We'll see you next week on Make Monday Matter. Have a great day. Bye-bye.